I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, American Patriots, and welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places you could be tonight, but chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. The Queen is dead. Yep. Queen Elizabeth has moved on and joined her husband and many other royals throughout the years. And with that, we move on. When Donald Trump replaced Department of Justice Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who, by the way, should have never been in that position to start with because he was an incompetent fool, and he was kind of like the Winchester Mystery House. I was very critical of Jeff Sessions, and I was very critical of William Barr. And it didn't make any sense to me that President Trump chose William Barr when it was very well known that William Barr and Robert Mueller, who was investigating Trump for Russia collusion, which turned out to be fake and not true, were good friends. And when I say good friends, like you can find pictures of them, at each other's kids' ball games and at each other's house for barbecues. That kind of good friends. So why Trump would put William Barr in that position to this day still baffles my mind. But he did. And Barr is right now speaking out. Boy, is he. His reasoning behind putting Barr in this position is shocking to me as it was back then. And Barr is weighing in on the Mar-a-Lago raid by the FBI. Former Attorney General Barr says the Department of Justice is close to having enough evidence to indict President Trump. He said they're getting very close to having enough evidence to indict the president for keeping hold of government records, including highly classified information, after leaving the office. In an interview on Fox News yesterday, Barr discussed the Department of Justice investigation into Trump, whom he served as Attorney General. He said that the core issue, or rather the DOJ, can make the case to prosecute Trump, and whether it ought to do so given his status as a former president. Barr gave an at times contrary analysis of the legal peril facing Trump, arguing for the strength of the Department of Justice case, yet also saying Trump should escape legal repercussions. Will the government be able to make out a technical case? Will they have evidence by which that they could indict someone on, including him? Barr said. That's the first question. And I think they're getting very close to that point, frankly. Barr, who resigned as Attorney General shortly before Trump left office, went on to say, but I think at the end of the day, there's another question, which is, do you indict a former president? What will that do to the country? What kind of precedents will that set? When the Republicans are back in charge, will they start going after Democrats, former presidents that I've told you all about their crimes many times? You know, failing to return a library book was serious, but this is a lot worse, Barr said. And also, you have to worry about those things. And I hope that those kind of factors will incline the administration not to indict him, because I don't want to see him indicted as a former president, Barr said. But I also think they'll be under a lot of pressure to indict him, because one question is, look, if anyone else would have gotten indicted, why not indict him? Well, damn. Why didn't you indict Hillary Clinton? Anyone? Bueller? The FBI, in August 8th search of Trump's Florida resort, recovered stashes of government records, including highly classified documents, Melania Trump's bras, panties, stockings. Trump has claimed he broadly declassified the records. His lawyers were successful this week in their bid to have an independent official assigned to review the documents to establish if any ought to be returned to Trump because of executive privilege, because it's attorney-client stuff, but also medical records. Like all of his copies of his medical records. The fuck did they take that far? And why did they take clothing out of Mar-a-Lago? Are you looking for DNA evidence or some shit? I don't know. But regardless, as true with this DOJ, and as I tell you what happened, they are appealing the special master request that the judge granted to look at these records. And why do you think that is? Well, let me tell you. It's because it's a nothing burger. It's because these records are already declassified. There's a procedure that he goes through. And have you yet to hear anyone in government say that the procedure wasn't done? Other than a few on the far left, CNN analysts or MSNBC analysts. But we will see. The time will tell. It's going to come out one way or the other if he actually declassified these documents. Now, if he did not, and he took with him top secret classified documents that, if in the wrong hands, would hurt our country, well, I will say it again. No one is above the law. But if you're going to take him down, you better be taking Hillary Clinton down, because what she did was 1,000 times worse. And we, the people, are sick and tired of this justice system only going after Republicans. It's pathetic. It's un-American. And that shit needs to stop. DOJ and FBI. Moving right along. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon arrived in court today in New York to face fresh charges related to a charity that was supposed to use private funds to help build a wall between us and Mexico. Bannon, 68, was indicted on charges including money laundering, scheming to defraud, and conspiracy, according to the court filings that were unsealed today. And by the way, he has pleaded not guilty. The 6-count indictment also names the group We Build the Wall Incorporated. Now, some of you that have been following me for a long time know where I'm going to go once I finish reading this story to you. Which it says worked with Bannon on the scheme in 2019. Bannon was chair of the advisory board for the group, which prosecutors say duped thousands of donors by maintaining that all the money raised would go to building a wall along the southern border and not to the people running the effort. The group president, Brian Kolfage, who is left unnamed in the indictment, and I don't know why, pocketed hundreds of thousands of dollars from the so-called scheme. Some of the money was routed to him by Bannon, according to the Justice Department, who had money from the campaign transferred to a nonprofit under Bannon's control and then used that cash to pay Coughlin $140,000. Prosecutors allege that Biden was well aware the group was publicizing that Coughlin was telling donors, "I'm taking $0 of a salary, no compensation," and that Bannon had echoed those claims himself. In a statement, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said Bannon acted as the architect of a multi-million-dollar scheme to defraud thousands of donors across the country, including hundreds of Manhattan residents. It is a crime to turn a profit by lying to donors, and in New York, you'll be held accountable. New York Attorney General Letitia James, whose office teamed up with the district attorney in the probe, said Bannon took advantage of his donors' political views to secure millions of dollars, which he then misappropriated, and lied to his donors to enrich himself and his friends. In a statement to NBC News on Tuesday, Bannon said, "This is nothing more than a partisan political weaponization of the criminal justice system." And we will see, won't we? Bannon was hit with charges related to the scheme by federal prosecutors in 2020, in August. He pleaded not guilty and was later pardoned by then President Donald Trump. NBC News reported in February 2021 that the district attorney's office had opened an investigation into Bannon's involvement in the alleged scam a month after Trump pardoned him. Presidential pardons only apply to federal cases, meaning New York is not prohibited from pursuing similar charges. The federal case alleged that Bannon was one of 4 people who orchestrated a scheme to defund hundreds of thousands of dollars out of more than $25 million raised the online crowdfunding campaign to help fulfill Trump's pledge to build a border wall. Federal authorities said Bannon used his nonprofit organization to receive more than $1 million of wall building fund. 2 of Bannon's co-defendants in the federal case, Coughlin and Andrew Batalo, pleaded guilty in April and are scheduled to be sentenced in December. That's right. They pleaded guilty. A trial for the 3rd co-defendant, Timothy Shea, ended in a mistrial this past June when the jury deadlocked and couldn't reach a verdict. Shea is scheduled to be retried in October. Bannon is also awaiting sentencing after being convicted of a misdemeanor contempt of Congress charges for snubbing subpoenas from the House committee investigating the January 6th riot at the Capitol. He faces up to a year in jail and $100,000 in fines. Biden's case is not the first brought by the New York District Attorney's Office involving the former president's allies, as many of you know. Last June, the office charged the Trump Organization and its then chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, with tax fraud and other charges in what they described as a sweeping 15-year scheme to compensate top executives off the books and help them avoid paying taxes. Wisselberg, who pleaded guilty in the case last month, is expected to testify against the company when the case goes to trial this October. The company pleaded not guilty, and Trump has not been charged in the case. He has, however, insisted that the investigation is part of a political witch hunt against him and has accused Bragg, who is black, of being a racist for pursuing the case. The case was initially brought by Bragg's prosecutor, Cyrus Vance. Vance also brought a criminal case in 2019 against Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, for allegedly falsifying public records to obtain millions of dollars in residential mortgage loans. The case was later dismissed on double jeopardy grounds, as he had already been tried and convicted for related crimes uncovered from former special counsel Robert Mueller. Charges that weren't part of Russia collusion, which I've been saying for a long time now. No one was charged with Russia collusion. But when they kept digging because they want egg on their face, they found whatever the hell they could find. Manafort's case likely won't help Bannon. The state passed a law in late 2019 that allows its prosecutors to pursue investigations into a recipient of a presidential pardon who served as a presidential administration, worked directly or indirectly to advance a presidential campaign or transaction, or worked at a nonprofit or business controlled by a president, and whose alleged criminal activity took place in New York. So what did they do here? They circumvented the process of you can't be tried twice. That's what New York did. I, for one, think that the people of New York got a bad raw deal. You have a bunch of rogue, nasty, hateful, pathetic people in the Department of Justice there doing some really bad shit. People in America cannot be tried twice. If you go in front of a jury and you're not processed as guilty, and or a president pardons whatever you did or didn't do, it's over with. But New York, knowing that, got together, they're Democrats, to find a way to hang anybody they can associated with Donald Trump. Now, let's talk about We Build the Wall. Some of you may recall, this would be like deja vu. When we went down and did our border documentaries, the last one we went on was we wanted to go see this wall that was being built with the money that people were donating to this Build a Wall campaign. And they told us to get the fuck out of here. They told us that we were not welcome. Now, I immediately put out a video about that. And we talked about that in my show. What are they hiding? Why would you not want press on this? And every time my producer at the time, Dustin Gold, reached out to them to get them, come on Zoom with us, come on the show. We want to see the progress. They told us no, and to stop snooping around. It wasn't our place. And I told you then, something is not right with this organization, raising millions of dollars, but yet We can go out there and look at the wall all day long and film what the government was putting up, but not this private organization. So I knew back then that whatever was happening was corrupt. I even said, I'm on record telling you, do not donate to these people. If you can't see where your money's going, don't do it. So where this goes from here, I don't know. But I can tell you this much. It don't look good for Steve Bannon. Especially if other people that have been indicted that were part of this We Build the Wall have already pleaded guilty. A declassified U.S. intelligence assessment says Russia is acquiring millions of artillery shells and rockets from North Korea for its 6-month-old invasion of Ukraine, in an indication that the effect that Western sanctions are having on Russia war effort. New York Times first published the findings of the intelligence assessment, but the newspaper said the specifics of the purchase, including their type and timing, were unclear. The paper quoted an unnamed U.S. official as saying such purchases were expected to continue and perhaps expand beyond short-range rockets and ammunition. Pentagon spokesperson Brigadier General Pat Ryder acknowledged that the United States has seen signs of Russia doing just this, purchasing from not only North Korea, but China. We do have indications that Russia has approached North Korea to request ammunition, Ryder said on September 6th at a briefing. Asked why the information was declassified, Ryder said it's relevant to illustrate the conditions of Russia's ongoing military campaign in Ukraine. It does demonstrate and is indicative of the situation that Russia finds itself in terms of its logistics and sustaining capabilities as it relates to Ukraine, said Ryder, who provided the administration's first public comments on the intelligence assessment. We assess that things are not going well on that front for Russia. It also shows that Russia is trying to reach out to international actors like Iran and North Korea and don't have the best record when it comes to international stability, Ryder said. A U.S. official who spoke of conditions of anonymity to discuss the intelligence said the purchase indicates that the Russian military continues to suffer from severe supply shortages due to, in part, to export controls and sanctions. Neither Ryder nor the U.S. official were able to say how much weaponry Russia intends to purchase from North Korea. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby, who is I'm not a fan of, you guys know that, said there was no indication that the arms purchase had actually occurred yet or that any North Korean munitions had made it onto the battlefield in Ukraine. Kirby couldn't find his way out of a wet paper fucking bag. But Kirby said the talks, along with another indication of how desperate Russia President Vladimir Putin is becoming. It's an indication of how much his defense industry establishment is suffering as a result of this war and the degree of desperation that is reaching out to countries like Iran and North Korea for assistance, Kirby told reporters. The disclosure of the U.S. assessment follows reports last month from U.S. sources asserting that there were mechanical or technical problems among the first two types of military drones purchased recently from Russia ally Iran. Putin and his intelligence chiefs and war planners are thought to have believed that the main aim of the full-scale invasion after 8 years of war, mostly by proxy in eastern Ukraine, could be achieved in a matter of days when they launched it in late February. But Ukrainians have mounted a fierce defense and aided by Western weaponry shipment to include another $7 billion, thanks to Brandon. Both sides' casualties figure are classified, but the consensus is that each side has lost tens of thousands of soldiers, or in Ukraine's case, troops along with civilian defense forces. Kyiv and Moscow have both pledged to fight as long as it takes to secure victory. Ukraine is never going to be the same again. Western governments and NATO members have supplied tens of billions of dollars in weaponry and other military aid to Ukraine for a campaign that some regard as a potential Kremlin stepping stone to future wars or territorial expansion, particularly among former Soviet republics. And that's what I've told you about as well. I do believe that they're not going to stop in Ukraine. They're going to continue in other parts of Europe because all these countries are going to NATO, and they don't want that. This next story should upset everybody. I don't give a damn what your political views are or who you vote for. This shit doesn't belong in school with our kids, period. And before I go to this story, let me just explain this to you. Think about this for a second. As I share this story with you, imagine anyone, any human being that's an adult going up to a underage person and sharing this information, what would happen to them? They'd be arrested, charged as a sex offender. They'd have to register for life. It would be very, very bad. But somehow in our school systems with teachers, shit like this seems to be okay. A California teacher, you guys probably thought, well, he's either going to say it's a teacher in California, Oregon, or Washington State. A California teacher in the Caspeto School District posted about a queer library in her classroom that was filled with over 100 books, some of which contain sex imagery, information on orgies, sex parties, and BDSM. The teacher at San Juan Hills High School, identified on the school's website as Danielle Serraro, S-E-R-I-O, is known as Flint. Flint posted repeatedly on TikTok about the books in the queer library and said it was available to students and has been active for 5 years. Again, if you got a kid in school, you're a parent, and you're not paying attention to what the hell's going on there, shame on you. There's no reason this should have went on this long. Many of the details covered in the books are being withheld from this story due to its extreme sexually explicit nature. One of the books, Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera, contains extreme graphic imagery of sex between women. Everything you ever wanted to know about being trans, discussing BDSM, fetishes, and kink social media networking sites. I find the BDSM kink community to be extremely open-minded and welcoming in every way. It's a place of sexual liberation, the book states. Remember, this is a high school library. There's often more blanket level of acceptance of transgender people when the kink BDSM, bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism, scenes, and sites such as FetLife. FetLife is a social media networking site for the kink community. These are people who have already opened themselves up to a greater range of romantic and erotic possibilities, and transgender often adds to the smorgasbord. The book states about those in the kink community. No, this is not a Saturday Night Live skit, sadly. Another book called This Book is... it's like you just can't make this shit up. Another book called This Book is Gay discusses the casual hookup site Grindr and includes detailed information on how to have anal and girl-on-girl sex. We all want to have sex with loads of people, the book states. For men, the prostate gland feels amazing when massaged. Lots of men, gay or straight, like how it feels. Let's talk about dildos. I think a lot of people assume that where there's no penis, a desperate sexual void is created. Something shaped like a penis must ultimately slot in order to satisfy. The book continued. I've only slept with 2 women who enjoyed using dildos. I hate wearing a strap-on. I've only ever done it once and never again. It also included information on sex parties and orgies. This is in a California high school. Saunas or bathhouses are dotted all over the country, and they're perfectly legal. Many saunas run lesbian nights, pay some money to enter and have a bit of a sauna and some random sex. Again, this is fine as long as you're safe. At one point, Flint interviewed the school's principal at San Juan Hills High, and I can't even pronounce this fucker's name, Dr. Manoj, Majo, Mahindrakar. We're just going to call him Dr. Dick. And posted it on TikTok. Flynn asked about whether he thought it's important to have queer library on campus. And he said, in my educational experience, books are always a good thing. And any book that supports our students, I am for. Fox News Digital reached out to Dr. Dick, the superintendent, and Flint for comment about the appropriateness of the material for children, but did not receive a response. Another book in the library, The A through Z of Gender and Sexuality, also discusses kink and fetishes as well as tucking. The process of hiding one's penis. And whorephobia, stigma against prostitutes. The teachers get the books mostly through donations, Flint said, and including a link on an Amazon page so that the books could be purchased from donors. When a TikTok user asked why queer library books are not in general circulation in the school, Flint said, the library has some of these titles, but getting them into circulation is pretty challenging. In another TikTok video, Flint questioning why parents have a hard time trusting educators. I've been wondering lately why it's so hard for so many people in the general public to trust educators about education. The thing that we study and do every day. It's been so long since we're in school, I'm wondering if they have extreme or outdated views on what's happening in the classroom, she said. Look, for one, I don't give 2 shits what you do as an adult behind closed doors, as long as it's consensual and nobody's getting harmed from it. I mean, if you like to get your butt spanked, fine. But when I say harm, I mean doing permanent damage to someone. I don't care what you do. I don't care who you sleep with. If you're a girl, want to be with a girl, or you're a boy, wants to be with a boy, I don't care. And I do think that today, most conservatives and Republicans could give a shit what's going on behind closed doors with other people. Just don't put it in our face, and don't put it in our schools. There is no place at all in our schools for this type of material. Call it filth, call it whatever you want to call it. This is not for underage people. It's not for kids. If I had a kid in this high school, I'd probably get arrested, because I'd go in there, gather up these books, and set the shit on fire right in front of the administrators and dare one of them to try and stop me. It would take law enforcement coming in to take me down, because I would take this shit down. Where are the parents? Why are you not up in arms over this shit? Again, what you do in your private life as an adult, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. But when you teach it to our kids, you're wrong. You know why? Besides the fact that they're kids and it's just not right to do that. But if you were to share those books on the street, I tell you what, educator, Miss Flint, take those books and just go out to a random fucking park one day. One Saturday when families are out enjoying with their kids on the jungle gym and on the swing sets, and walk up to a little kid and share your BDSM book with them. That shit will put you in jail and mark you for life. So why is it okay in the school system if a teacher does it? This doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely insane. I've been saying for a long, long time that the biggest problem we have in America is we've allowed the far left liberals to infiltrate not just our school system, but now everything, like the FBI and the Department of Justice, the Veterans Affairs. They just did it. And now those people are voting. Kids voting today, they'll be voting in midterms. They don't even know what the fuck 9/11 was. They don't teach it. Why? Because it's not politically correct, because then it could be Islamophobia going on. Kids don't know anything about it. Just like they don't know anything about World War I or World War II or the Revolution. Oh, you know what they do teach them? The Confederate battle flag must be taken down. It's racist. Confederate monuments need to be taken down. It's racist. It's not stopping racism. It's erasing history. If we don't learn from history, we're bound to repeat history. But these clowns, they don't give a shit. They don't care. All these people that were, wanting to take the rebel flag down that they claim is the Confederate flag, well, guess what? If I had a Confederate flag, a real Confederate flag hanging behind me, they wouldn't have a clue. Because the flag that you ban, the bars and stars, was the Confederate battle flag. It's not the Confederate flag, you stupid imbeciles. So you don't even know what you did. Anyhow, tonight's show is short because I have to go to Baton Rouge. My mother has a doctor's appointment at like 9 a.m. And I'm going to go down there tonight. I was going to leave in the morning, but I decided I'm going to go ahead and go down there tonight. It's about a 3-hour drive if there's no issues on the interstate, and take her to her appointment. It's a follow-up of all the things that she's been going through recently. And once again, I want to thank everybody for your thoughts and prayers for not just my mom, but also for my dad and everything that he recently went through. They are doing a whole lot better. I'm very thankful and blessed for that. I also want to remind you, in the community section of this YouTube channel, scroll down a little bit and you will find a GoFundMe site that we put up for John Lawrence, who's one of our administrators. He's also, not only does he moderate the chat with us, but he's also a very dear friend. He and I served in the Army together at Fort Hood, Texas. He lost his partner of 18 years recently and still owed financial obligations for the funeral. And then he ended up getting very sick and has been unable to work. He's trying to get back on his feet again. He's fallen under hard times. And that's what we do as conservatives and Republicans. We help out our brothers and sisters that are in need. And even if it's just $5, any amount helps. And if you're unable to donate anything financially, your thoughts and prayers for John to have a speedy recovery is well taken. And we sure do appreciate it. We have your back, John. We have your six. We want you to get well. We want you to return back to full duty and everything you do. And we thank you for everything you've done, not just for the Douglas Ducote Show, but everything you've done for our country. You're a great American patriot. Folks, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Also, go check out DouglasDucote.com, because no matter what the woke do, if they take me down on social media sites, so be it. But sure as hell can't take me down from my own website. So if we do get banned somewhere along the way, and as you know, they keep trying all kinds of little tricks, they can't take me down from my own site. Anyhow, as always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our angel families, our Blue and Gold Star families, and our country. And if by chance you don't know what angel families are or Blue and Gold Star families, please look that up, because they need our support more now than ever before, because this current administration is pissing on the graves of their loved ones, and that is unacceptable. Thank you, everyone. Anything breaks between now and next Tuesday, I'll be sure to put a video out about it. Other than that, hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. Welcome to the weekend tomorrow. Have a great weekend wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Please be safe. We want to see you back here on Tuesday. God bless. See you soon, everyone.